There are two things certain in this world, and that is death and taxes. Though for me there is always the extra love for games with tedium and even the mild resemblance of Papers, Please. So when I first saw Death and Taxes a few years back, there was no surprise that I found myself drawn to the game. It's after all one of those games that kinda feels like it took inspiration from Papers, Please, but also was so wholly unique that it is still a very different and very satisfying experience. After all, when I reference Papers, Please, I'm really talking about a genre of games that I don't really have a good name for. But I'm kinda hoping you understand what I mean. So, what do you do in Death and Taxes? Here you play the new Grim Reaper, assigned to the human department. You work under fate, and your job is simply to choose who lives and who dies. The gameplay takes place over an undetermined amount of time in the human world, but for about 28 days for you in the realm of the dead. Each day consists of going to your office, getting a set of objectives of how many humans must die, and sometimes extra objectives like sparing all people in a certain age bracket or only killing every other profile. Though don't worry, you won't get any children. They got their own department, so that grim task is not gonna be up to us. We are strictly dealing with adult souls, which I immensely appreciated. Now on your table, along with the direction, are gonna be the souls in question for the day. Some days you only get few of them, and other days you get many. Just like some days you only have to kill one or two, or your choice is basically deciding which of these people is the lucky one that isn't gonna die today. With each person you get some basic information about them, their current career, their age, and a short description of their life goals or personality. All which you can take into account when picking who gets the stamp of death and who gets to live another day. Each choice you make will affect the world outside, which you can get updates on through your phone, which shows you some recent news headlines, allowing you to hear about some rather hilarious deaths of some of your previous victims, or the good or the terrible things they got up to after you let them live. You are never on a time crunch. You can take all the time you need to decide on who lives or dies, which is good because sometimes the choices can get quite challenging as you try to prevent the world from falling into utter chaos. Outside of your office, you can go to some other places in the bureau. Each day you are forced to go to speak to Fate, who checks over your work and, depending how good or bad you're doing, can end up firing you or even give you a raise. You can visit the bar during the weekends, where you meet the lovely bartender and learn a bit about the other people working here in this bureaucratic structure of death you find yourself in. You can visit Mortimer, who is selling his pirate plunder, which both includes a lot of cosmetic items to change your Reaper's appearance, along with variety of little doodads that can help you in your work. Of the more notable ones that I found were the snow globe, which shows you the state of the world, which can be really handy when things are going well, and then very terrifying when things are really not going well. And then you can also get the lamp, which is very helpful in New Game Plus, as it lets you see the consequences of your previous choices made with any human being judged. Though there are plenty of other little doodads as well, a screaming cactus, a piggy bank that seems to be multiplying, and if you're really struggling with making a choice, you can always buy a coin and just flip it to see if people should live or die. One of the good things about this is there is a lot of humans in the game, far more than you are going to be seeing in a single playthrough. And one of the fun thing is that some of them can really mess you up if you're trying to keep the world going well, which I think is rather fun. But that means that even if you've obtained items like the lamp, it isn't guaranteed that you know what the consequences of the choice is gonna be, because you may never have met that particular human before. Finally, there is of course the dressing room, where you can change your appearance and sometimes speak to a mysterious cloud voice that is either there to help you or mock you. It is kinda up to you to figure out. And that is basically your routine. You go to the office, you talk to fate, maybe you shop, maybe you go to the bar, maybe you talk to the voice in the mirror or adjust your appearance, and then you do it all over again. But the main gameplay and consequences definitely happen in the office, because this is a game about managing the balance. It has multiple endings depending on the state of the world and the choices you have made in the workplace. And while the first playthrough will probably run you about 3 to 4 hours or maybe a bit longer, especially if you're reading things and taking your time to make your choices, you can also speedrun the whole playthrough in like an hour, maybe a bit more, if you're just going in and stamping whatever is needed and then going. Which is good because this game is made for multiple playthroughs, with even some little nods to it being not your first time through the game in the dialogue if you've played it before. And there is a gallery of endings you can work on trying to figure out how to get, which can be really fun as you can go and absolutely destroy the world if you like, or maybe you want to make a utopia. Or the one that I struggle with the most so far is maybe you just want to strike some sort of a perfect balance. Every time I do boot up this game, I find it a treat to play. I have played through it several times, trying to get the different results, and I've always had fun with it. The music is pleasant, the art style is really lovely, and the gameplay is satisfying. For me, Death and Taxes is not just worth playing, it is worth playing again and again. It is a game that I can play several times, then put it down for a year, and then pick it up again and really enjoy it. But that's just me. And we must obviously keep in mind that this is a genre I really enjoy. So what about you? Have you heard about Death and Taxes? Do you find this concept of games interesting? And have you tried it before? Let's talk about it in the comments. And on the way down to the comments, make sure to press the like and subscribe button. But in the end, all I want to say is takk fyrir að horfa og eigðu yndislegan dag.